What's up, everybody? Welcome to Beyond Engaged. My name's Alex, and I've been a part of Beyond Difference's teen board for 4 years now. We work to help end social isolation and create inclusive communities within schools. Today, I'm joined by Harita, Will, and Georgia, three other teen board members alongside with me. And if I'm gonna be honest, guys, I'm noticing that social isolation has getting a lot more attention due to the pandemic and social distancing. This awareness makes me feel really positive about the future and the potential for having more inclusive communities and more kindness within schools. I think our generation is equipped with the knowledge and tools to create this change, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts on it as well.
So first off, I'd like to say that our generation really cares about this topic because we've seen the effects of social isolation firsthand. Because there's less of a taboo when discussing mental health issues, we are also exposed to many more things in the media and also in our schools. For example, practicing for gun drills. It's really hard not to care about topics like this when we see how they affect our lives every single day. And therefore, it makes it easier for our generation to understand how social isolation can lead to mental health issues.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Our generation has experienced a ton of these really controversial issues. And another thing that makes our generation really well equipped to this is we have so many great role models who have responded to these other issues. Like, take, for example, Greta Thunberg. She had the bravery to step up on the world stage in front of leaders of major world countries. And she outright said, "You guys are treating the climate wrong. You need to stop. You need to change the way that your country works." And I think that just reflecting on this, especially in the context of the social isolation movement, we can take inspiration from these massive figures who've been on the cover of Time magazine, and we can tap their bravery and their drive to, yeah, push this issue and give it more press and hopefully eventually solve it.
Yeah, I totally agree with Will. I do think that youth are taking the lead. And I think this is because we have access to so many different platforms to support not only people, but movements and to use our own voices. Social media and YouTube allow us to build community and participate in movements not only throughout our own communities, but worldwide. It also allows us to not only support others, but to create our own content. And we're able to learn about ways to get involved in our own community through social media, like protests and other events. I think that our generation is also just so fed up of seeing the effects of social isolation in our communities, like Harita was saying. And the mental health issues that it causes are getting to an all time high. I just think that it's a huge source of motivation for us to act and end social isolation with the tools that we have.
Yeah, I mean, perfectly said, guys. Not only have we experienced and understood the connection between mental health and social isolation, but we've seen a lot of youth models take charge and really support what they believe in. I do think a lot of this is because adults are looking for the youth to step up and share their own thoughts. Like I said before, I do think this is an activist generation.
In the past, anti war movements were led by students, and our generation seems to be so open and motivated to make change. We've embraced things like gender identity and sexual orientation, and like Will mentioned, all of these movements have been led by the youth, which shows just how open minded we are.
Exactly. I really do hope that with this pandemic going away, that the conversation and dialogue surrounding social isolation does not. Just because people start gathering does not mean the loneliness will go away. What are some ways that we, Generation Z, can make sure we can keep this movement and conversation going?
Okay, I think that this video is one awesome way that we can keep this conversation going. As I mentioned before, creating content and using social media to keep the conversation going is a great outlet. I also think it's important to seek out art, such as films that address the topic of social isolation and loneliness to keep this movement going. This is something that we can talk about with our friends and engage with in school. And just engaging with Beyond Differences and the resources we have is another great way to keep this conversation going.
Yeah, I completely agree with that point. Creative ways to keep this movement going are super important. But I also think beneath the marches and large protests, we should also focus on making like consistent actions on a daily basis. For example, sitting with someone at lunch who's new and maybe looks alone, or I don't know, going up to someone during snack time and just making that conscious effort daily to end this problem can do as much and maybe even more good than these large marches, which just spread awareness. And I also think that it's important to try and get this into the school curriculum. I have a great experience with this because at my school, we have a class once a week that is called social emotional learning. And in this class, we discuss things ranging from habits of mind, like how to stay happy during quarantine and how to stay connected. And I think that would be a really great outlet to spread information about this movement and also to discuss ways to treat it.
That is awesome, Will. Thank you, Harita, Georgia, and Will for sharing. I do think our generation has the power to create change and keep this conversation to end social isolation going. Like Will said, even the smallest of acts can really build up and solve exactly that issue. This is the perfect way to end this conversation and get us ready for our next video on how to be social isolation disruptors. If you guys liked what you saw here, please feel free to go back to other Beyond Differences videos. And with that being said, we'll see you guys next time.